town called Glen St. Mary, which is about 26 miles west of Jacksonville. You got a tremendous signal up here, down here. I guess down here. I didn't get you where you were yet, but yeah, tremendous. About 12, 14 over.
Roger, Roger. Come back again with the call sign, please.
Kilowatt Radio 4 Kilo Golf. King Richard 4 King George.
I got you there. And what's the name?
Name's Bob Bravo Oscar Bravo.
Roger, Roger, Bob. And one more time, tell me, what's your town close to?
Well, we're halfway between Jacksonville and Lake City, Florida. I guess the nearest town of any size would be McClenny, Florida.
Roger, Roger. So I'm assuming now you're over on the west coast. Is that a Roger?
Negative. No, we're on the east coast. We're about 50 miles from the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, I should know that, Jacksonville. Now, you won't believe it, but my hometown is West Palm Beach, Roger.
QSO, yeah, I believe it. I've lived all over Florida. I lived in Fort Myers for a while. Originally from Mississippi. Grew up there and retired here from the military about 1989 and just stayed here.
Roger, Roger. Now, were you in the Navy?
Yeah, QSO, I was in the Navy, aviation fire control technician retired as a chief video.
I got you there. I got you. Well, how do you like? Where was you before Florida?
It's okay. It's hot and humid when it's not raining. What they say about Jacksonville is if you don't like the weather, stick around in 15 minutes, it will change.
That's a Roger there. Well, you know, as I recall, it always rained in the afternoon, Roger.
Yeah, QFL, you can set your watch back there for sure. What was your first name? I guess I didn't write it down.
It's Jim, Juliet, India, Mike. Jim, Roger.
Roger, Jim, Mike. I just, either you didn't give it or I didn't get it, one of the two. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of rain here. It has rained, well, for the last month it's rained about every day. We got a reprieve last week. I got my grass cut for the first time in a month, but, you know, it's just strange weather here, June and July. Then in August, it quits raining, and it hasn't done that yet, but it usually quits raining, and everything gets dried out. September, usually when we see a hurricane, if there's going to be one, so, you know, we have our flight. Everybody talks about California and all the things they have, but we have enough of them here.
Oh, Roger, yeah. And, you know, like I say, it's been a while since I've been down to West Palm. Last time I was down was maybe 10 years ago, you know, and at that time the Spanish influence was pretty pronounced from when I had left 10 years before that. So I just imagine now West Palm is just an extension of Miami.
Oh, yeah, it's spreading out. It's getting to the point where the Everglades are about to disappear down there. There's so much construction and, you know, they're taking away the natural watershed and what have you from it. It's about to dry up. It's grown that much. You know, they're saying that in 10 years the Everglades won't exist if they don't do something about it now. Yeah, where are you located there, Jim?
Bob, we're located just beside Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger?
Yeah, QFL. I spent a year in a place called Greenup, Kentucky, which is by the, I guess they call it the Green Bow Dam or something there. It's pretty close. My dad worked for a year there on that dam. And so I like Kentucky. It's a pretty state.
Roger, yeah, I like it real well. I mean, it's, you know, Louisville is a fair-sized city, and I liked it for the size of the city. And then, but on the other hand, in 10 minutes, you could be in the deep woods, you know.
Yeah, QSO'S, yeah, Louisville, Kentucky. I've been through there many times. I got all my grandkids are in Iowa, so we go through that area about once a year there and through St. Louis and go across that way, and then we get to Kansas City and head north.
Oh, roger that, roger that. And so you were in the military, in the Navy?
Yeah, QSO'S, I spent 20 years in the Navy. Went in 1970 and retired in 1989.
Roger that. And what were you? What was your ship, or what were you assigned to?
Always aircraft carriers. I was an aviation fire control technician. Let's see, America, USS America, USS Forstall, USS Nimitz, and about a year and a half on the USS Enterprise.
Roger, roger. Wow, that's those things are giant, aren't they? Major size.
Yes, they are, but they're nothing compared to the new ones they built, like the Abraham Lincoln and I think there's one that's the Ronald Reagan or something. All the ships that I were on have been decommissioned and sunk or what have you, turned into razor blades, except for the Forstall. It's a training carrier in Pensacola now, but yeah, most all of them have been decommissioned.
Roger, roger. Kind of a sad situation, you know. You just wonder why, you know, or how it could, you know, be totally useless, you know. I mean, it looks like they could do something with it rather than just destroy it.
Yeah, QSO'S, I've got a video of the last ship I was on, the USS Nimitz. They brought it out there and blew it up. It's now a fish reef out there near New London, Connecticut. So, you know, I don't know. You know, I agree with you. They should be able to do something with them. Nothing else, put them in mothballs, and if we ever had a major conflict, they could take them back out and get them back going.
Exactly, exactly. I would always think, you know, a smaller aircraft carrier would be a smaller target than those giant big things.
Well, a small one they consider small will hold about 6,000 people and 10 squadrons of airplanes, 10 each. So, you know, a small one would do, you know, a lot of damage.
Oh, roger that for sure. Roger that. I mean, just, well, how many airplanes did they carry?
Right at 100.
Roger that. Yeah, but that's more airplanes than a lot of countries have.
Oh yeah, you know, and they can get them off there. I mean, they don't fool around. They can get them off there now. You know, one every about, I guess 14, 15 seconds if they had to.
Roger. Now, are they doing two at a time?
They can actually launch them. They have what they call a angle deck and then a straight deck out front, and they can actually launch one off each side, and then launch like one off the angle, one off the bow, then one off the angle, one off the bow. So they can, you know, they can pump them off there.
Roger, roger. Well, you know, we have UPS here as a major facility, you know, and they have all those planes that come in at pretty much one time, like for about an hour and a half. They have two runways, so they, you know, you can just see them stacked off in the distance coming in, you know. Like I say, they're landing not two at a time, but they're using two runways, and probably they're landing one every 30 seconds or so.
Now they could actually, in a pinch, they can launch off the bow and recover them on the angle deck. So you know, you could actually take off and land at the same time. You know, if they had to. They usually don't because of safety reasons, but they could do it.
Roger. Now they had that one that had a tilted up runway right at the end, so it kind of gave them a bunch of uplift. Roger.
No, they have a way of cranking up the steam and they know, now that wasn't my specialty, but they know just how much, by the weight of the aircraft, it needs to push to get it airborne right off the end there. It wasn't my specialty, but like I say, but they had that down to a science. They'd dial it in according to the weight of the aircraft.
Roger. And so they were using a kind of a catapult system?
Yeah, QSL. It was a shuttle that runs through a track, actually 4 of them, and they just crank the steam up, and the plane is hooked to that shuttle with what they call either a bridle system or a nose tow system, and it's designed to brake at a certain braking strength. They put like a coupler in there that's worked down to the exact braking point. When it gets to the end, it brakes, and they just keep on going.
Roger, Roger. So when you retired, you had always figured 20 years and out?
Oh yeah, that was enough for me. I mean, there's good and bad to everything, and you remember the good and you forget the bad. But sometimes I think about some of the bad stuff. I was away from home more than I was at home. We would start work up 6 months, well, not 6, about 4 months before a cruise. Out there, in and out, and then we'd go on a cruise for 8 months, then back about a month off, and then we'd start over again. So, it was there's no break in the action there.
Roger, I imagine that was pretty hard on a marriage, Roger.
Yeah, QSL, it cost me 2.
Roger that. Sorry to hear that, man.
Oh yeah, well there are women that can handle that kind of stuff, that are kind of independent, and there are women that are not very independent. And I married a couple that wasn't very independent. My last wife, now she could handle it. She could entertain herself.
Roger. Well, I'm glad that worked for you, Roger.
Yeah, QSL, she got involved in a bunch of activities and different stuff. Loved to cook and all that stuff. And involved in the church and all that. So she stayed pretty busy and loved me faithfully too.
Roger that. Now, what are you doing? Well, you've been out for how many years now?
Yeah, I was in there 20 years. As far as I worked on the actual guidance system for missiles and what have you on aircraft.
Roger, but what you doing now after you retired?
I do a lot of stuff with the church, and I'm a member of what they call a COA, a Council on Aging, so I do some work with them, and I teach some classes and different things to those people, and just keep me busy. Of course, I spend not a lot of time, but probably 8% of my time on the radio. So, and of course, I've got an extensive honeydew list here, so it keeps me busy.
Oh, Roger that. Now, you got many 2-meter and 70-centimeter repeaters up that way?
Well, they have in Jacksonville. They do here in Glen St. Mary, which, like I say, is about 26 miles from Jacksonville. They got a 220 and they got a 2-meter that are linked together. But it's pretty quiet here. I don't know. It's kind of countryside, so there's not that many ham radio operators.
Roger that. Yeah, we've got. Well, I was for a while riding my bicycle in the morning for a couple hours. We have a nice park that has a pedway around a lake, and it's about a little over a mile all the way around. And so I would ride between 8 and 10, and I had a little radio Bofang on my bicycle, and my good buddy got me a nice antenna. He had it on his truck, and his wife came home and saw it on his truck. She said, "Get that thing off your truck, man. It looks like a bunch of gypsies made it or something." And mainly because it was red. There's not a lot of antennas that are red, and she just thought it was gaudy, so he had to get rid of it. So he called me up and said, "Hey, you know, I got this antenna that you might be able to use. It gives you a 3 dB gain on VHF and 6 dB gain on UHF." And I said, "Wow." And he said, "The problem is, though, it's red." I said, "Well, that's going to work out just fine because my bicycle's fire engine red." So I put that sucker on there, and I could do I could hit 18 repeaters from the pedway, Roger.
QSL sounds like a real antenna. What was the name brand of it?
I think it was called it was a knockoff from something, but it was a Harvest 888, I think it was. Harvest 888, Roger.
QSL sounds like the antenna for me. That is great. Yeah, I am running a Icon 756. It's an old radio, about 20 years old, but I'm going to tell you what, it's the best radio I've ever owned.
Roger that. We're running a Yaesu 990. It's about a 20-year-old radio or so, maybe older than that, but it just works beautiful, Roger.
I got a deal on this. The guy was real upset. He didn't have a microphone, and he didn't have the book. And he wanted $600 for it. I said, well, $600 is kind of steep for me right now, you know, being on a fixed income and what have you. He called me back, still upset about the book and the microphone. He said, "How about $450?" I said, "How about I come on over?"
Roger, that's a good situation there. I love those kind of situations because you can always find a microphone, you know, and you know, just hopefully you got enough output on that microphone that you can get the audio up where it needs to be, Roger.
Yeah, QSL, I had an Icon 718, which is a good mobile radio, but it's not much fucking for receiving. So I had the SM30 here already. I said, well, don't worry about the microphone. I got that going on. And, of course, I printed the book right off the internet. So, you know, got everything I need.
Roger that. Well, yeah, I've got a good buddy that's really helped me out a bunch. We do a lot of QSO-Vlog recording for our YouTube page. And he's really helped me immensely be able to set my station up to do the video recording, and we do direct from the receiver or line out audio from the receiver, so it's not like somebody's camera audio microphone in a room, where it sounds more like the guy's room than really what's happening, Roger.
Yeah, Kirk, I like this mic. It's a little bit unidirectional. It's got that foam deal on it there, divert some of the external noise. And I left this in the way we had it set up because I've got good reports off of it everywhere that I talk.
Roger, well, it sounds really good. I'm copying the mailman. It sounds really good. I run a foam windscreen here, and I'm just right, pretty much on top of it. And that foam windscreen kind of keeps all the trash from getting into the audio, pretty much anyway. And a lot of times your radio room isn't exactly sound friendly. You got some folks who got their Radio Shack inside their living room, and they've got dogs and cats and wives and children, all kinds of sounds. And so when you work a tight mic, you eliminate or at least attenuate a lot of the external sounds, Roger.
Yeah, the only problem I have is my shack is about, I reckon, maybe 80 feet from the highway. And it's busy road. It's not really a highway. It's a busy road. In front of my house, county road. And every once in a while you'll get one with a loud pipe. Somebody will hear it.
Yeah, Roger. So, I think you said you got a windscreen on that mic, so you can get right up on that mic with that foam windscreen, and really, get your get your signal to noise increase dramatically when you're, you know, right up on that microphone. So I guess you could have a concrete truck go by and actually not hear it, you know, if you're right up on that mic, Roger.
Sure, man. Yeah, it's only from my side. They got real loud pipes, people will hear them. But other than that, or somebody with a hearing problem with their car radio, I think there's going to be a whole generation of deaf people. I should invest in Beltone or somebody like that, because there's going to be a whole generation of them can't hear. But yeah, usually I don't have any problem with it. My shack is kind of it's not in the garage. It's off the garage. But you walk out of my shack, you walk into our garage, and then you know, so it's kind of nice the way it's set up.
Roger, yeah, about them guys with those radios, man. It sounds like about 60 cycles, about 60 hertz. There is, you know, that bass beat, and that's about all you hear coming out of the car. But gosh, it really is intense, you know. Sometimes you're sitting at a stoplight or something, and car pulls up next to you with that happening, and it's just like you're almost being assaulted by the guy's music.
Yeah, so this thing has got a bunch of adjustments for microphone and bass and treble and all that stuff on the microphone. But I just haven't messed with it because I'm afraid I'll mess it up.
I think you're sounding good. We've been recording for our QSO-Vlog, and you're sounding really good. Your audio is great, you know. The band is kind of in and out, you know. So usually I set the input RF control really light without any compression, but this morning or this evening the situation is fluctuating so badly that I did have to run it up towards the just going into compression to try to keep the a handle on it a little bit, because the band was a little flaky. But anyway, we've you know, been recording, and if you'd like to hear yourself, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up the our QSO-Vlog page, and we will probably be posting this in the next couple of days or so. Roger.
What I have to do is just go to the internet and bring up your call sign.
Go to YouTube and do a call letter search on YouTube for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll bring up our QSO-Vlog page. And you will find this one. You know, it'll show your call sign. I've got KR4KG. Is that a Roger?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, let me hear what it sounds like. This thing has got a monitor, but you've got to have a little card in there that records that, which this one does not have. And you probably got to hear yourself, but I think you got to have that card. I think it's a UT 102 or something that to do that.
Roger. Well, it's real hard to listen to yourself, you know, critically as you talk, you know, because you're distracted by having to talk, you know, as you're trying to listen. So, you know, we do record. Usually we run Friday morning, about 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, round through there on 7189. And we do that pretty much every Friday morning. Roger.
Yeah, 7189. QSL, I'm writing that down right now. That sounds like a runner. Yeah, I participate in several nets. Hands of Christ Christian Fellowship, which is every day at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central on 7.263. We usually are on a remote in Wisconsin, but you probably have no problem getting it direct. Also, I go on the 305 Century voice whenever once in a while. Not real often. And then South Cars, which is South Coast Amateur Radio Society, is on 7251, and that's every morning except Sunday from 8 to noon. So there's several different nets out there that I try to participate in.
Roger that, Bob. Roger. Well, you know, thing is, we just got to do what we got to do. And, you know, we spent a lot of times doing, you know, for everybody else. And then when you retire, it's time to do what you want to do, Roger.
Yeah, QSO'S, that's correct. You know, first year I was out of the military, I about went crazy. I had no one to tell me what to do. So I didn't know what to do with myself, but I figured it out. It took me a while, but I figured out what I wanted to do, and you know, the things were different. You know, things were really different. It's, you know, they didn't want your opinion. They wanted you to do it their way. So I had to figure that out. But basically, you know, you adjust.
Oh, Roger that. Well, I've never had much trouble trying to figure out what I'm doing there after retirement. You know, I spent 50 years in commercial broadcasting, and after that, you know, I said the rest of this time's mine, you know, and so managed to get my amateur license, and I've just been having a ball ever since. Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. Yeah, that's the thing. Keep yourself busy, do some volunteer stuff, what have you, and you know, have a pretty good life there. But if you want to just sit around and watch TV and get fat, well, you know, that's not the way to do it.
Oh, Roger that. Well, listen, Bob, I had a real good QSO with you, sir. I really enjoyed it. And let me just say thank you for your service to the country, Roger.
Yeah, when I brought you up in the log, it says Indiana. I don't know why. It shouldn't. Kc9Vkv. Yeah, it comes up Indiana for some reason.
Well, that's right. Now, remember what I said. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Louisville's on one side, and I'm on the other side. Louisville's in Kentucky, and I'm in Indiana, Roger.
Oh, QSO'S, you're right there at the line. I see how that works. Man, I was going to come over and see what it gave for an address. I never got there. But, yeah, that QRZ page, I am not going to pay for it and things on my log program. Normally it'll come up with all that stuff. Let's see, show address. Yeah, New Albany, Indiana. I got you. I understand now why it comes up that way. All righty. Well, take care of yourself there, Jim, and it's been really, really good talking to you. 73, and God bless you and your family.
Roger, Bob. Likewise there, sir. I really enjoyed it. Three's down that way, and you have a real good evening. And we, like I say, we'll be posting this in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search, you'll come up on the page, and then you'll see your call sign in the title. So three's that away, and we'll catch you later. It's Kc9Vkv.
KR4KG. Have a good night.